The electric furnace comes packaged with both the furnace and coil casing in a single unit, so the unpacking of this product is relatively straightforward. Here's how the electric furnace will arrive. There are 5 parts to the actual packaging. Be sure to check the labeling to verify this is the right furnace for the home. Remove the plastic straps by cutting them with a utility knife. Once cut, remove and discard the straps. Next, remove and discard the cardboard top and the 2 cardboard enclosures protecting the sides of the furnace. Finally, using 2 or more persons, lift the electric furnace from the bottom cardboard and skid and set it on the ground. Visually inspect the furnace for any damages that may have occurred from shipping. The electric furnace is shipped in the upflow position. Note the heat coils are at the top of the unit. This indicates the upflow position of the furnace. If installing in the downflow position, the electric furnace will need to be flipped so that the heating coils and raised flanges are on the bottom of the unit. Ensure you have the appropriate sized hole for the furnace plenum according to the floor cutout dimensions table shown. Apply a bead of UL 181 rated caulk or approved duck mastic around the perimeter of the hole. Next, place the plenum into the hole with the larger flange facing the front, centered left to right and flush to the back within the floor opening. Using mastic and 181 foil tape, connect the plenum and make appropriate connections to the ductwork. Use mastic to apply a bead of mastic with the caulk gun around the top plate of the plenum in preparation for the downflow base. When setting the base, ensure the interior tabs sit inside of the plenum opening. Make sure there is no gap between the base and plenum opening. If the applied mastic prevents the base from moving flush, the process of securing the base and plenum to the floor should decrease any gap remaining. Note the placement of the tabs in the back of the base you just attached. These tabs will be used to guide, place, and secure the electric furnace. The tabs should not be bent downward or damaged. Ideally, they will be parallel with the base plate immediately beneath. Screw down the base through the plenum using 4 1-inch screws. The unit comes shipped in the upflow position. The position of the heating coils are at the top of the unit where the raised flanges are located. Remove the lower furnace door by unscrewing the 4 5/16" screws and place the door to the side where it cannot be damaged. Note that all doors associated with the unit are serialized and match only the furnace being installed. Before the unit is set into place, locate and punch out the electrical knockouts for both the high and low voltage inlets into the electric furnace. While this can be done after the unit is in place, it's easier to do prior. For the other product types, this isn't as easily done once in place. Since both the high and low voltage wires will be coming in through the floor, use the knockouts located on the top of the unit. Facing the front of the electric furnace, use the knockout on the right top of the furnace for the low voltage or thermostat wire. For the high voltage single and dual circuit wire, use the knockout on the top left of the electric furnace. Using a flathead screwdriver and hammer, simply knock out the corresponding holes for the inlet of the wiring. If the knockout doesn't fall out of the unit, use your gloved hands to work the material back and forth in the hole. The knockout will break off easily. Next, discard the knockout material. Do not leave it in the electric furnace. To ensure wiring to the unit will not pull out or slip once connections are made, install clamp connectors to the unit. For the 3/4-inch knockout, use the 3/4-inch clamp connector or use the rubber grommet from the parts bag located inside the electric furnace. Loosen both sides of the clamping mechanism when installing. This will ensure easier installation of the wiring once the unit is set into place. For a downflow installation, the electric furnace is oriented so that the heating coils and flanges are facing down or at the bottom of the unit. Using 2 to 3 strong people, carefully rotate and lift the unit so the coils and flanges and the knockouts are now located at the bottom. Prior to placing the unit in the base, add a 1/2-inch mastic or 181 UL-rated caulk bead to the base. This will ensure a seal between the electric furnace and base to prevent air leakage. Note the tabs located in the back of the base. Once the electric furnace is lifted onto the base in the next step, these tabs will align to slots on the furnace that will lock the furnace into place to prevent movement. Move or ensure the electric furnace is located near the placement location before attempting to install. Orient the unit so that the front of the unit is facing the same way as the front of the plenum and base. Now, using 2 to 3 persons, tip the furnace unit forward. This will pivot on the most forward flange on the unit. Lifting with the legs, raise the electric furnace up and on top of the base, ensuring the flanges on the electric furnace engage with the opening of the base. Next, align the tabs on the base with the slots on the back of the electric furnace and slide the furnace back until it locks into place. Now that the furnace is secured to the floor, it must be secured to the wall to ensure it can make safe transport to the home's final placement. Using a 1-inch wood screw, secure the furnace to the wall using the upper, back portion of the heating coil case where the furnace media was previously. Be sure to screw into the wall stud through the 1/2-inch wallboard. When installing the Upflow furnace, follow these steps. Installation of the Upflow electric furnace is relatively straightforward and only requires the use of an Upflow stand to elevate the furnace unit. There are also tabs on each of the sides of the stand that will help guide the electric furnace into place. Now, using 2 to 3 strong people, tip the furnace unit forward, pivoting on the most forward edge of the furnace. This should allow you to grasp the bottom of the unit. Lifting with the legs, raise the electric furnace up and on top of the Upflow stand, ensuring the furnace is centered on the stand. Using 2 1/2-inch self-tapping screws, shoot the screws through the side tabs of the stand into the electric furnace. This will secure the furnace to the Upflow stand. Again, with 2 to 3 people, lift and slide the combined furnace and stand into position. Position the Upflow stand and furnace flush to the wall. Once in position, secure the Upflow stand to the subfloor by attaching 4 to 6 1-inch wood screws. One screw should be in each corner of the unit so that the front of the unit is facing the same way as the front of the Upflow stand. The electric furnace should be level when finishing securing. This module will demonstrate how to wire the high and low voltage connections into the electric furnace. Electrical wiring should only be performed by competent professionals. The principles here are for both Upflow and Downflow installations, as the wiring for each is identical. Note that the locations of the connections will vary, however, based on the furnace's installation position. Locate the high-voltage junction box. For the Downflow unit, this will be in the lower right-hand corner of the furnace. For the Upflow unit, it should be on the upper left side of the furnace. Using the 5/16-inch nut driver, remove the 2 metal screws from the junction box cover plate. Then remove the cover plate and place close to the furnace. For the Downflow installation, the wiring will be brought in through the floor. The knockouts at the bottom of the furnace should already be open. If not, knock them out now. In the Upflow installation, the wiring will be brought in through the sides or top of the furnace. For a single circuit furnace, there will be one sheathed MN building wire brought in that will contain 3 smaller sheathed wires. Single circuits are only for the 10 kilowatt furnaces. Dual circuits will have 2 sheathed MN building wires that need to be fed through the wiring clamp. Dual circuits are installed in 12, 15, and 20 kilowatt furnaces. After bringing in the wiring, it's time to connect the wires to the circuit or circuits within the furnace. Note there should be a label above the circuits to identify each position. Using wire strippers, strip off a 1/2 inch of the sheathing to expose the copper wire on both NM wiring. If there is sheathing on the ground wire, normally it's green, remove 1/2 inch of sheathing from it too. Locate the lug connection on the side of the unit. Loosen the screw using a slot head screwdriver. Feed the copper or ground wire through the bottom of the lug opening and tighten down the screw to secure it in place. Be sure the ground wire is no more than 1/4 inch above the lug when tightened. When connecting the high-voltage wires, note the sticker that labels all connections. The circuits are L1, L2, L3, and L4. Locate the screw at the bottom of the circuit. This is where you will be attaching the high-voltage wiring. Loosen the screws using a slot head screwdriver. Allow enough space to slide the NM wire behind the clamp. Using a slot head screwdriver, tighten down the screws so that the connections are secure. If the furnace has a 2-breaker circuit, then we'll connect the second circuit in the same manner as the first. Once all connections are secure and in place, tighten down the wiring clamps where the high-voltage wiring was brought in. This will ensure the connections do not slip or get pulled out of the furnace. Once all connections are finished, reattach the cover plate over the high-voltage junction box. Remember, there are two 5/16" screws that hold the cover plate in place. Now, bring the low-voltage wiring in through the low-voltage or thermostat connection junction box. It will be located opposite from where the high-voltage junction box is located in the furnace. Prepare each thermostat wire by removing a 1/2 inch of sheathing using wire strippers. Twist the ends to ensure a full connection within the wiring connectors. Each of the thermostat connections will have wiring connectors attached. Loosen each wiring connector one at a time and pigtail the wires by wrapping or twisting the thermostat wire to the corresponding wire in the furnace. For instance, attach the brown thermostat wire to the brown wire connection. Then use the wiring connector to secure the connection. Twist until tight. Continue the same process according to the connections on screen. These can be found in the installation instructions as well. Once all connections are secure and in place, tighten down the 3/4 inch wiring clamp where the thermostat wiring was brought in. Finally, connect the wire protection plate to the downflow base after wiring is complete. Note the wiring protection plate slides into a slot on the base to prevent movement. Secure the protection plate with a 1/2 inch self-tapping screw. At the bottom of the furnace, there are two pre-drilled holes spaced evenly in the front. Using two 4-inch wood screws with washers, secure the unit to the subfloor. The screws and washers should be snug to the furnace. However, be careful not to pitch the electric furnace forward or secure too tight. The electric furnace should be level when finished securing. Now that the electric furnace is in place and connected to the home, follow the final steps of installation. First, remove all parts bags from the unit. Keep the instructions and warranty information bags in the furnace compartment for the site installers. Ensure electric furnace high-voltage circuit breakers are switched off. This will again be important when the home is set on the site and installers begin making the exterior connections to the furnace. Replace the air filter in the unit and replace the filter casing door. Reattach the electric furnace door using a 5/16" nut driver and 4 1/2 inch screws.